Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Hardcore Heroes. So, the party is split. Malachi, you are going off to see Lady Twin Towers.
Yep. It's
Uh,
always a good idea to split the party.
Hmm.
Always a good idea. It's a
At
little
least we're
bit
not in a
safer when you're in
dungeon.
town, but, you know.
It's more efficient, right?
Hmm.
Sure. So, you arrive at Lady Twin Towers' manor.
Mm-hmm.
Mansion might be a better word for it. It is a lovely house built on the excuse me, hiccups. South side of town, up against, well, it's the river side of town. So if we look at the map,
Yep.
we see that the these rivers are on the south side of town. So she lives near the river, except up the hill.
Okay.
There's the manor house that Lady Valmont lives in is on this big artificially made hill, kind of in the back of town, and then the rest of the town sits near the waterfront, near the ocean, or the riverfront, near the river. And so the nobles all live near the riverfront, but up the hill.
Okay. Yeah. Is
Um,
this a place that I could have walked to whenever I wanted?
Whenever you want. The town's not that big. It's like a half mile by a half mile.
I probably have walked the street
hmm
many times, aspiring to increase my position in society.
It's a
Get a
small
house on the hill.
place. Yeah, everyone knows every street in town.
Okay.
You make
So
your
I.
way to her house, and there are
Yeah.
well, it's just a nice big three-story building uh, with a door, and there's a footman out front.
Okay. Does he look menacing?
No, I mean more of like the classical British
Oh.
servant footman, not like an armed soldier.
Right. You should have said. I mean, obviously I see them daily.
Right. I mean, I just
Around.
figure
Yeah. Yeah.
they're everywhere.
So I guess I go up to him and I say, "Greetings, sir.
He nods.
Nice weather today, isn't it?"
Quite so, my lord. Is there something I can do for you?
I'm no lord. I've heard that Lady Twin Towers had some unfortunate news this morning.
Yes, we've been keeping the rabble off all day.
Indeed, I can imagine it's quite hard work. I'm good friends with the cleric of Chiss in the Market District. He's heard of Lady Twin Towers' troubles, and I've come to perhaps arrange a meeting between the three of us. Maybe later today. I think the lady could get great benefit from speaking with him.
I shall see to her. Won't you come in, please? And
Ah, he's most kind. Thank you.
he leads you into a parlor,
Okay, look
motions
around.
to the wet bar, and says, "Please help yourself,"
Thank you.
and disappears.
All right, I look around this room. Is there any obvious relics or artifacts? Like, is there anything? No,
No,
nothing like
no.
that. So I take a look at the alcohol then, and whatever's the most expensive drink, I'll pour one.
Okay. So you pour yourself a nice drink and sit down for it. A few minutes later, Lord Twin Towers comes down,
Ooh.
and he
Okay.
walks into the room. He's a taller man, kind of broad shoulders, a big barrel chest, might be like 6 feet tall, um, and
So I stand and bow. Greetings, my lord.
he nods his head and says, "I did not catch your name."
My name is Malachi. I'm the son of Jarrett. He's a merchant in this town for many years. I work with Rohanna at the magic store.
Yes, you're her apprentice.
Indeed.
My footman tells me that you are working with Father Von Helsing,
That's correct.
and you have an offer for us.
I thought maybe, given your wife's recent trouble, that perhaps speaking to a cleric of Chiss might be useful to her. Maybe they could together divine a solution or at least a cause as to her problems.
I suggested that she see the High Cleric this morning when we discovered her situation,
Hmm.
and she had strong words to otherwise.
The High Cleric, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but he's a busy man He doesn't have time for everyone's concerns. My friend Van Helsing, he's dealt with things like this before in the past, in this town and other areas. I'm certain he would have some interesting information. Would only take an hour maybe of her time. At your convenience, of course.
Why don't you bring Father Van Helsing around in an hour or so? I will see if I can't get the missus up to the meeting.
Apologies, my lord, to be awkward. Van Helsing is very busy today, as you can imagine, given the news. His church is flocked with
What?
many people.
What do you mean?
Again, I don't want to speak out of turn. Shall I continue?
Be blunt, sir.
Word has got round town that your wife may have blasphemed the gods, and her current condition is a result of a lack of faith, if you will. Many have taken to the church to avoid such issues themselves.
Simple-minded fools. If the gods disfigured every person who blasphemed them once in a while, the world would be covered in ugly people.
Indeed. I think we may have interesting things to discuss. I have my own thoughts on the situation, but I would prefer to talk about them with Van Helsing present.
Well,
This evening, if you would.
that might explain where the missing servant's gone. Probably off to do her prayers.
Many put too much faith in the gods.
Well, if you can bring him round after dinner.
Yes, that sounds very agreeable.
Yes, yes.
I can't metagame.
Yeah. He grumbles, gives you a curt nod, and says, "Thank you for your assistance. This is a most delicate matter."
Thank you for speaking to me, my lord.
He gives you a nod and walks out.
And thank you for the drink.
Of course, of course.
Okay. He walks out. I wait to be escorted out. If not, I just kick back.
A few minutes pass. Eventually, a servant comes around and goes, "Was there anything else I can do for you?"
I look around. No, I think that was it. I wasn't sure if Lord Twin Tower would be returning. I suppose not. Shall I make my own way out?
I can show you out, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I think it would be proper.
Okay. A servant comes around and shows you out. And,
Okay, I leave. Right, well, I guess I head back to the temple then.
Cool. Let's flip back over to the other side of the party. Croak and Corny. What are y'all doing?
I am making my way with Corny down to the docks with the intent of speaking with the shipwright family. I think is Gilliam Shipwright's like the head dock master, but he's probably busy. I want to find somebody that's in that kind of like building, like in that structure of leadership, right? Maybe I don't get the head guy, but I want one of them.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
He's like the Gillian Shipwright's the harbor master, right? I probably can't just walk up and be like, "Yo, Gillian, want to talk?" So I want to find one of his command structure.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can find because the head harbor master doesn't actually. He's not on the dock taking papers and money from people, but there's the deputy harbor master who's doing all the dirty work for him.
Great, I want that guy.
Yeah, he's easily accessible and very busy. But that's. Yeah, anyway, you run down to the docks and find him, and the two of you are there, right? If I'm not mistaken?
Yes, I brought Corny along.
Yep.
Cool.
I want to approach this man and be like, hello, my name is, sorry we haven't been introduced before. My name is Crow.
I'm a busy man. What do you need?
Well, you see, unfortunately, have you heard of Lady Twin Towers?
Yes. What do you need?
I come here representing her interest. I was hoping we had a moment we could speak.
You are a representative from Lady Twin Towers?
Well, you see, I am under
You're a
the
little
employ. We take care of things that the face of the organization can't necessarily do, right? You know how this goes. We have reason to
You and the
suspect.
gnome are the face of the Twin Tower family?
Oh
At this-
well, I am. He's my friend. I bring him along to show him the ropes. I maybe get him out of the brewing industry. But you see, we have reason to suspect some foul play, not from the gods. And I was hoping that you could be, oh, a dear, and to help us identify. There's a man that is going by the name of Venelin,
Never heard of him.
cloaked and robed in black, that we know was in the process of
Quickly,
acquiring.
man, quickly! You speak too slowly. I have
He
many
was in
things
the
to do.
process of acquiring an ugly potion. And you see, we believe that this is the man we're looking for. You have the comings and goings of all men in the area. I was hoping you could speak of a shadowy figure that may have came into town or left quickly in the last 2 days.
A lot of people have come into town.
Right. And
Yep,
under
ships
the
coming
name
in every
Venelin.
day. I can't recognize every face and every name. Never heard of the man Vendlin. Is there anything else you need?
Has there been any boats coming in unregistered? You miss anything?
Excuse me?
I wouldn't mean to
Excuse me?
suggest that you are incapable of your job. I just mean you're a busy man. Not everything gets done every day.
Croak, I don't believe we'll get what we want from this man now. Why don't we just go and find Gwendolyn?
Roll initiative.
He turns to one of the kind of officers of the law. These would be the people who work under Tyrus Bellows, but are currently working under the harbor master. You know, they answer to him, but they work for the harbor master at this point in time. He says, "Officers, would you escort this man off of my docks?"
Oh, no need, officers. I think I've gotten all I can here. I'll be leaving myself.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no need. We were just leaving. There's no need to start grieving.
The two of them walk with you and make sure that you head out.
Yeah.
I chat with them as they do. I introduce myself. Hello, I'm Croak the First. I don't believe we've met yet. What are your names?
Give me a charisma check, why don't you?
Alrighty.
Can you charm their pants off? Well, not literally, but figuratively.
No,
No.
I cannot.
Again, for making skill checks, for those of you watching, you want to roll as high as possible without going over your charisma. So the 20 is a little over. Still a little over. When you try and introduce yourself, the guards take offense to it and actually grab you by the bicep, one on either side, and help you
Hey,
exist
now there's
a little
no
more.
need for this rudeness. I am an upstanding citizen of this here town.
Croak,
How dare you?
You got yourself into this. Now, why don't we just keep moving so you don't let them kick your piss?
You get ushered out of the dock area, and the guards turn around and head back to the deputy harbor master.
That man is just abhorrent. I am sorry you had to see such a terrible piece of scum on the docks here, Mr. Corney. But, well, let us go talk to Mr. Bellows, I believe. I think he's next on our list today.
Yes, I suppose so. Come now, let's go.
Okay. The two of you meet up with Tyrus Bellows. He is the sheriff of town, and he is often found in his little sheriff hut, jailhouse.
Nice.
He is not there today, though, but you get directed, eventually after maybe 20 minutes of searching around, one of the guards gets you to him. He is in the streets near the market square, and the two of you approach. What would you like to say to him?
Let's say, hello, Mr. Bellows. I don't believe I've had the chance to introduce myself yet.
You're
Name is
Croak.
Croak the First. I'm here on behalf of, well, you see, myself and my friend here, Corney, we represent the interests of one Miss Twin Towers. I'm sure you've heard of the unfortunate news today. We have reason to suspect some foul play that was not of divine nature. Corney, why don't you please tell this gentleman what you heard and overheard?
Yes, of course. Straight from the mouth of the horse. You see, it was something to do with this issue. Have you any tissue? Nay, it's okay. So it berifts a potion, you see, of ugliness, it be. We heard tell of it some days ago, though the origins we do not know. We transpired to find whoever we could regarding this potion that did not affect the mind. We found nothing of the sort, but we did find you. And we were hoping you could tell us something about this fluke. Anything about the man named Van Valen, perhaps. We
Where's the rhymes?
already know someone named Halen. Relax.
The gnome fell apart. So golden.
It's a pretty difficult.
No, I was gonna finish on that. I asked him about Van Valen.
Right. So, you are saying Lady Twin Towers was ugified by a magical potion?
Yes, indeed. We have a reason to believe this. We had a fine chat with one Jackal down by the docks. He was the one talking with this figure. Turns out they acquired some blood, human blood, in a vial to give to this man in terms of making the potion. Unfortunately, we have not been able to locate this Valen ourselves. We were hoping that perhaps you could aid us in this matter.
Which one of these men had this potion?
We believe it to be Valen, although Jackal is the one that acquired the blood necessary to create it.
And you don't know where either of these characters are?
Oh, well, we met Valen down by the docks. We had a nice little chat in his home, but the Valen fella has been a bit elusive.
Wait, who did you meet by the docks?
Huh?
Who did you meet down by the docks?
Oh, Jakar.
Okay.
He's a sailor fella. You may know him.
Well, I would say ask him.
Oh, we've had a nice little chat with him already.
Today?
We learned a lot of information from him, but unfortunately the whereabouts are a bit unclear. I was hoping that you and your boys have a few more resources, could poke around for us.
Have
You know,
you spoken...
in the interest of helping the Lady Twin Towers.
Right. Well, why don't you bring that Jack Art fellow around here? I'll give him a good talking to, see if I can't fish out any information. And this Valen guy?
Yeah.
Know anything about him?
What I do know is he's a fella who likes to walk around in black coat and cloak, keep himself non-visible. The witnesses we have of him don't have much in ways of description because of this. We've asked around in and around town on behalf of the lady, but none seem to really know much about him. We believe he is an outsider or vagrant that has come into town.
Swordsman? Cleric?
We
rogue?
believe him of arcane nature. Because of the necessary blood and potion discussion that we were talking about. We fear he may be some kind of magic user. I tried to have a discussion with the deputy down at the docks about the comings and goings of men, but unfortunately he was a quite repulsive man. He did not have care to listen about the lady's fate.
Yes.
But yes, I will go ahead and bring Jakar down to you, and we'll have ourselves a fine little talk.
Just one second there. You're telling me that a wizard has come into town seeking human blood and a potion of ugliness and has damaged Lady Twin Tower's face through his arcane magic.
Why, yes, indeed.
Well, in an investigation,
Perhaps-
I found that there are three things that you really need: motive, means, and opportunity. Do we know why this person has been uglified? Do we know how?
Well, we do know how through the means of this ugly potion.
Well, how does one get a noble
I
woman to
believe it
drink
is
an
done
ugly
through
potion?
imbibing.
Yes, that's how potions work.
I nod my head. See, we're on the same page.
Let's see. Well, thank you. Why don't you bring around this Jackart fellow and I'll question it and take matters from here. Appreciate your efforts, Mr. Croak. I was wondering when I was going to run into you.
I smile at him with my like bulgy, fishy eyes and oily hair. Like, oh, I'm sorry I did not introduce myself earlier.
He nods and says, I'll be in my office, and makes for his office. And let's flip back to Malachi and Van Helsing.
Yeah, is it like has it died down enough that I could reliably leave the temple and go down to visit Lady Twin Towers?
Yeah, we're about afternoon time now when Malachi comes back to you.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
still plenty of people around, but if you needed to bop out for something, I mean,
So it's not just like packed. We need everybody there anymore.
right. Well, you're the head cleric. You have to make the decisions of what is worth you leaving and what is worth you staying. What is in the
Yeah.
best interest of the town. You're the executive director here.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave for like an extensive period of time unless I like had somebody to be a proper replacement. But I don't mind like leaving for an hour or something and having like I assume I have sort of like a second in command, like one of the priests who I kind of like trust to handle things whenever I'm absent for a short period of time.
Yeah, he's just not great at leading ceremony
Yeah.
or at advising
When do
people.
I usually do those? When do I usually do those? Like I assume I do like sermons. Are they like weekly?
I haven't actually figured out these details yet. I think that your function as head cleric of this temple is much more of people come to you with advice and people come to you with questions and people come to you saying, here is my problem, who should I speak, which god should I speak to, and how should I best approach them. And so you don't often give you don't have morning mass, for example. There's not like a big conglomerate where everyone comes and sits down and listens to you speak. It's much more of a, you could almost consider yourself like a religious consultant for the town.
Okay, so we arranged like this is something I feel like I would know. So we were talking about meeting him by the evening. Would it be more or less crowded during the evening?
Usually less crowded.
Okay, so I guess we'll wait for the evening, then kind of just head back to do the meeting with Lord Twin Tower.
Sure. If we're going to wait till the evening, I don't want to do everything in the chronological order. So let's flip back to Croak and Corny.
Okay.
What do you guys do?
I said, "Oh, dear Corny, you think we might want to grab ourselves our Malachi friend to come talk again with Mr. Jackar? I think that might be within reason."
Yes, he did quite well last time. Why don't we go? Maybe get some lime.
All right, excellent. In which case, I'll go try to find Malachi.
Well, I'm at the temple, if that's where you look.
I
Actually,
think the first place I look is over by the Lady Twin Towers place, but after some time there, go, he's not here, and go back to the temple.
Yeah,
I,
eventually you guys can meet up.
could I actually push up that timetable and when to go over? I just had a thought.
Yes. What is your thought?
That they needed somebody who'd be able. If it was a potion, they would need somebody to slip it into a drink, and we'd probably want to find out who that is as quickly as possible, so they don't skip town.
So Malachi's. What did you do, Malachi? Let's. Think you're
Well, I
kind
went
of
back
key
to the
figure here.
temple,
Right.
and I'll say to Van Helsing that if he gets a moment from speaking to the congregation, I'll say I spoke to Lady Twin Tower's wife, the Lord. He said that he tried to encourage his wife to speak to the High Cleric, and she was not pleased with the idea. I did manage to convince him to allow us, me and yourself, a brief meeting with her this evening after dinner.
That's good. I don't necessarily even need to speak to her so much as her husband. Her. There's a need for justice and a need for healing. I'll need to see her for the healing, but for justice, I will probably only need to see her husband.
Indeed, I did not allude to our knowledge of the potion, as I figured if they do think that it's the work of the gods, then that gives them a good reason to speak to yourself. However, I think once we get there, we should tell them what we really think. I think speaking to the lady would be a good idea, as we're going to need to know who she may have slighted, or who she may have spoke to that evening. Perhaps her husband wouldn't be totally aware of everything that she gets up to.
That is my intention.
So once it dies down here, and it's in the evening sometime, let's head over as soon as possible.
I actually want to do this as soon as possible, so I want to like grab the, one of the priests who kind of runs second in command. I'll say like I'll be gone for maybe an hour, probably even less than that. Just kind of cover for me for a bit.
He looks a little exasperated, but you're his boss, so
Yeah.
he agrees.
I kind of give him like a reassuring pat on the shoulder, like you need to practice for this. You're going to be doing this in a much higher position someday.
Okay, I got it. Let's go.
You'll be great. Give him the motivation, slap on the ass, walk out the door.
So I walk out with you and I say, so where are we going?
Straight to the Twin Tower Manor, I assume.
Do you not think it's wise to wait for our scheduled meeting?
Do you think I would offend him? To be honest, I think this is a matter of urgency. This just occurred to me. And frankly, I would rather break a scheduled meeting and risk making a slight offense than allowing the culprit to escape.
So be it. If you have the time, then let's go.
Okay, so the
We'll
two
make
of
it
you
quick.
head off to the Twin Tower estate. You find it just as you did before. The same footman is out front.
I nod to him. Greetings, sir. It seems my friend here's schedule freed up sooner than expected. Would the Lord and Lady be able to meet with us now?
He looks
If
perturbed.
not the lady, I would hope to at least speak to the Lord.
Please come in. I will. He
Please give my
motions you in.
sincere apologies as to the scheduling mishap. It's totally my fault. I lost track of time.
Of course. He leads you to the same sitting room, and a few minutes later, Lord Twin Towers comes back down. He,
Stand up and bow again.
big barrel
I,
chested man, wide shoulders.
I kind of step to the front and I say, "Good day, Lord Twin Tower. I apologize for arriving early, but I feel that this is a matter of some urgency that must be spoken of.
Speak your mind.
Yesterday, we, some companions and I heard word of a group looking to brew a rather nefarious potion, a potion of ugliness. And as silly as the term sounds, you can understand that this would be somewhat concerning for a disciple of the god of beauty.
This. He looks back towards Malachi. Did you know of this before?
I suspected, my lord. I just would rather ensure that you would speak to my friend here by hiding the notions of what I thought. I didn't want to risk putting you off meeting him.
A prudent approach. Speak to me,
There are-
Father.
Yes. We can speak of healing later. Healing is a process that may come slowly over time, but I'm sure it can be done. What's more important is catching the culprits, and this is where things get slightly more complicated. I assume you've come to the conclusion that it was not the gods who cursed your wife.
Yes.
That means that somebody would have had to do it. This is the machination of man, which means somebody would have had to have fed that potion to your wife. Is there anyone who could have done that? Slipped something into a drink, perhaps?
He pauses. One of our serving girls didn't show up for work today. When I had
that would-
heard the news from Mr. Malachi here,
Mm.
I had thought she went off to temple to pray.
I would strongly recommend, if you have any men to spare, send them out and find her.
Would we be able to see her quarters, my lord?
She lives in town, down by the waterfront. Down in
Do
the
you have
harbor
her name?
district, actually.
Do you have her name?
Uh,
Perhaps the foreman
I
would.
have a wife. I don't think I have a name for her. Her name is Adriana.
Adriana. Do you know the location of her home? Maybe your foreman there might have
Well, I
record.
can have one of my servants go. Perhaps you should attend him.
Shall, do you think there is a chance that we may speak to Lady Twin Tower? I understand the delicacy of the situation, of course.
If not, it can wait, but somebody would have had a motive to do this to your wife. I think we heard of this potion long before she ever supposedly blasphemed the gods. I believe that this was bad blood that has been brewing for some time. Somebody went to the lengths of blood magic to create this potion. I believe that your wife has offended somebody in some way that has created the motivation to cause this tragedy.
Yes, why don't we follow me upstairs? Just wait outside the bedroom for a moment. She hasn't gotten out of bed all day.
Indeed.
The two of you go ahead upstairs with him. He slips inside.
Helsing.
There's some talking. You can't really hear it. And then he comes back and opens the door. Inside, the room is very dimly lit, only by a few candles kind of off in the corners. The woman is lying in bed with the nets draped down all over it. So as you approach the bed itself, you can't really make out any features on her. It's dim in here, and the net's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And she lies in bed.
Okay. I kind of open by saying, from what I understand, you might not be enthused about meeting me, and that is okay. I simply want to preface this by saying that I am not looking for your loyalty or any sort of commitment to the gods. I'm simply here to help.
Chiss has forsaken me. I can't imagine why a follower of hers would come see me at this moment.
Chiss is not so petty as to simply curse a human for blaspheming her. She's not,
Well, she certainly didn't help.
indeed. But that is what her disciples are for, isn't it?
Okay. What if husband tells me you have questions?
Yes, this might be somewhat delicate, but I believe this condition of yours to be the machinations of man. I believe somebody, a person, a human, or maybe a non-human, but somebody of, earthly bounds attempted to do this to you. And I feel the need to ask, is there anyone who you believe you could have offended to the point where they would attempt to defame you in this way?
I can't imagine anyone stooping to this level. I certainly have friends and enemies, but to do this to a person? It's obscene.
Agreed.
Please, anything milady would help.
At this point, we're in the process of tracking down a servant, and if you have no answers to give, we can hope that she has more, but frankly, the more you can give us, the more it will help us with this investigation.
Which servant?
We have...
Adriana, I believe her name was?
Lazy halfwit.
I raise an eyebrow.
I take it you were not fond of her.
She's all thumbs. And ever since she got married, she's been off her head in the stars, missing this. She spilled a drink on me last week. Ruined a silk gown worth hundreds of gold.
And when did she get married?
Oh, I don't know. A month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago.
Do you know who?
Yeah.
I do not know her husband's name, but he's some shiprat.
Milady, we believe the name Venlin.
Actually, would the name Jackart ring a bell?
Neither of those names ring a bell. Are these the men who did this to me?
We know Jackart was involved. Venlin likely was as well, but we've been unable to track down anybody by that name. As
Her
of
husband
yet.
speaks up and says, "Who is this Jackart man?"
He's a worker down by the docks, a sailor, I believe. I would advise leaving him be, at least for the time being. We can worry about him in time, but sometimes it's better not to alert the hornet's nest before you kick it.
Yes. This seems to be less and less a manner of the divine and more a manner of man. Perhaps we should be speaking to Sheriff Tyrus.
Perhaps. I kind of look to Malachi. I say, "Do you have any way to make this servant talk when she gets here, ensure that she's telling the truth?"
This is something I could achieve.
Good. Magic of that level eludes me at the moment. It is something I'm always practicing.
It's something that must be worked towards. You cannot simply be gifted to it by the gods. I smack. Takes a great deal of intelligence, my friend.
Oh, my naive friend, you still have much to learn about the world. And I kind of I give him like a return smack, and it's a little bit harder than the one he gave me.
Try not to stumble.
All right.
Well, we shall seek out this Adriana and see what she has to say.
So I will have one of my, I'll have my butler bring you to her quarters, to her house.
Thank you. This would be most helpful. We'll sure to be in touch.
Sure. So you guys head off towards the house.
I'm actually going to break away and go to the temple at this point. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave number 2 in charge for too long. He seems pretty nervous about it, but I trust Malachi to get this done.
Cool.
I can deal with this friend.
Yeah. I mean, he's got help with him too. It's not like he needs me.
Yeah.
So let's flip back to Corny and Croak. You guys have gone off down by the docks to go find Jackart and bring him back to Tyrus Bellows, the sheriff of town.
Did we skip trying to find Malachi?
I guess we missed. We already left.
Missed him. We showed up at the temple. He wasn't there.
Yeah,
Just
and
kept
then you
going.
show up at Rahana's place, and then you show up at the other temple, and you're like, what? He's nowhere to be found.
All right.
Just give up. Yeah.
Seems good.
Fuck it. Move on. Okay, so the two of you head down to the docks, unable to find Malachi or Van Helsing anywhere. What are you doing?
I think we're going to the house on C Street.
Okay. You get to the house. Front door's shut, shutters are shut,
I knock again.
empty.
I open the door. Hello, this is a Croak. I am looking for Jackart. Is anyone home?
The house is empty, but through the light that comes through the front door, you can see that it is a little bit more disheveled. The big wardrobe is open, and a lot of things from inside of it are missing. The coats that were there yesterday are no longer there. You also notice that some of the furs and blankets that were on the bed are missing as well. Looking around pretty quickly, it looks like someone has packed up and left. Clothes are gone, traveling supplies are gone, some of the bowls are gone. It looks like whoever lived here has maybe not moved all of their things out, because there's certainly still some furniture and some furs
Right.
left, but a good many things have been packed up.
Say, Corny, I fear our dear friend Jackart has flown the coop. Perhaps we need to have another talk with that deputy down by the docks. I may not be the best person to do this, though.
Though I cannot match your height, I think you may be right.
Corny, what are you going to do?
Tell me, you know more of this town than I do. Is there a wagon team or some such that travels the roads they could have gone to Thornwood on? Should we investigate that first to rule it out before we return to the docks? Or do people just travel these roads willy-nilly themselves?
Would I know of anything like that? Caravan service?
Yeah, so the roads are dangerous. There are the occasional bandits and the occasional monsters. So most people, when they travel, try to travel in a large pack to keep themselves safe, or hire an escort or keep some weapons on them themselves. Usually you can get from Shirebrook to Thornwood without too much of a problem, but occasionally there are attacks and raids, especially for small groups of people on their own. Along the road from Shirebrook to Thornwood are also lots of little villages. This map that I'm showing now, we should zoom out on so we can see. Oops, it's a little far. So this map doesn't take into account all the little villages and the hamlets along the way. We're just marking the big cities. So between Shirebrook and Thornwood, there's probably 20 villages, but they're not all on the road. Many of them are off the road, and you have to go off to get to them. I hope that answers your question.
Sure. Come, let us find if there's anyone that ordered a group to go together or hired some mercenaries to travel the roads.
Yes, I think that would be a good idea. Let's go find these right ears.
So I'm essentially going to ask. I'm going to go towards like the north of town where that road starts. And I want to ask. I'm sure there's like wall guards or like
There's
door
no wall.
guards there.
Yeah, there's no wall around this town.
Okay.
And the town gives way just to kind of farms and
Okay.
things on the outside. So you have like the core of town, which has no farming, and then outside of town is just farmland until it recedes into wilderness.
Okay. So I'm assuming there's probably no patrol out there then. But that area would probably have some kind of merchant like base, maybe like street carts or something, people that might be leaving out of town.
Definitely, yeah. There are street vendors that sell all sorts of food.
Yeah, street vendors are Croak's element. So I'm gonna try to find one of them that
Shields
there's a
up,
particularly
weapons
good meat
online.
pie that Croak typically wanders this way to get, and finds his merchant friend and says, "Why, hello there. I need a bit of information from you today. Oh, and of course a meat pie."
Of course. Swap?
And I pay him whatever for a big greasy one, and I hand one to Corny as well, and I say, well, you see, a friend of mine, Jack Hart, and his wife, have been talking of leaving town recently, and I fear I may have missed him. I was wondering if you've seen a group leaving by the roadway to the north, sometime either late in the evening yesterday or today early.
How many in this group?
Well, it would just be the two of them. But they could have potentially hired on some protection or talked themselves into a group. It would be just him and his wife.
I saw 2 people leaving town earlier today. Whole bunch of gear packed on their backs.
Yeah,
Whole
I
bunch
think
of
that
gear.
may be them. Do you know about how long ago they left?
Right around sunrise.
Right around sunrise. Excellent. Well, you have been most helpful. Corny, anything I'm missing? I do tend to be forgetful.
Not that I can think, Croak, but your friend seems like a pretty good bloke.
I slip him like 5 of my stolen copper and say, for the information, dear friend, and consider it a tip for these delicious pies. Coney, let us find our companions need to know of this so that we can all meet them together.
Yes, indeed. I shall lead.
All right. And I guess we just find our way back to the temple because I know
Yeah.
that Van Helsing won't be long away from his flock.
Sure. You make your way back to the temple. Okay. Meanwhile, Malachi and
Jack
the
Art's
butler
house.
make their way to Jack Art's house.
Is
Only
that
to-
where it is? Is it Jack Art's house? Yeah.
It is Jack Art's house.
Would we pass?
No.
Okay.
So I, head in hand, as I realise where we're heading, realise that we've missed the boat here.
Yeah.
But I
You'll-
still tried to save face. I go into the house and look around.
Yeah, you see the same thing. Emptied. Some possessions left behind, but the core possessions taken.
I check the bed for hers.
Yes, you do
Oh,
find
I
some
see.
hairs.
Nice. Okay, I take a few. Is there more than one type? Is there one that looks long and one that looks short?
Yes, indeed. And one of them's a little bit
Alright.
red, and one of them's a little bit dark.
So I grab a couple of each. Put them in my bag. Say to the butler, well, it seems that they've left. It looks that they've packed their things and gone. We were here yesterday. I believe her husband helped get some of the ingredients together for the potion.
I see.
Um,
Well, I shall
I would
report
be-
this at once.
I would be willing to track them, but the roads can be dangerous. I would have to speak to some companions and maybe to Lord Twin Tower. Maybe he could fund such an expedition.
I will inquire. I will bring this to him. Shall you meet us back there?
I would be happy to accompany you there now, if it pleases. Time is probably of the essence.
Indeed. And the two of you hurry yourselves back to his house. While
Okay.
Croak and Corny meet up with Van Helsing at the temple.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
do you guys tell me like what you just heard, like the conversations you had and everything about
Yeah,
how two people
just
left town?
assume everything you've heard we are telling you.
Okay. Van gets like very concerned when he hears that. He says, we need to return to this man immediately, or I must leave." And I grab my number 2 again. I'm like, "Yeah, you're up again, buddy." I just slap him on the shoulder. I say,
We need to give this guy a
"Sorry."
name by now. What's
Okay,
his name?
yeah.
You can come up with the name sometime, but before
Frederick,
next
let's
session,
go
we
with that.
need to have the name.
Frederick. It's a good name.
Yeah.
Did you say Frederick?
And yeah.
Hmm.
I say, "I apologize. I'll be as fast as I can, but there's a very pressing legal matter that I must attend to." And so I say we need to go back to the man that you were speaking to, the man who saw 2 people skip town. We need to find what direction they left in. Then we need to see the sheriff, see if he has any men to spare in a pursuit.
He went north up the road to Thornwood.
Very well.
I got that covered.
I don't suppose any of you know how to draw.
No.
I am actually a map maker, but I am not there.
Do you know where Malachi is? I think we need to find him and get his opinion on the matter.
You go searching for Malachi. Let's see. Corny, you come with me. We need to find the sheriff.
Yes, of course. This I shall do. I'll stay with you.
Okay.
So we're gonna run for the sheriff, and we're gonna split the party yet again. Another division here.
Okay, so Van Helsing and Corny go find Tyrus Bellows, who you know where he is. He's in his sheriff hut in the jail.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Croak is searching for Malachi.
I guess so.
Okay, you will run into Malachi in the town square as Malachi and the butler are heading back to Lord and Lady Twin Towers' house.
Croak, come with me. I'm just heading to see Lord Twin Tower. You can brief me on your investigation.
Alright, sounds like a good plan.
So as we're walking, I say to him, "So, what did you find?" We think that Jack Hart and his wife worked for Lady Twin Tower and probably administered the potion. I think they may have
Interesting.
took off.
That would explain what I found earlier. I went by his home, and it looked as if everything had been packed up and left. And we went and checked the front of the north of town where the road leads to Northwood. And a good friend of mine saw 2 figures leaving this morning at sunrise, all packed to the nines with all their gear. And I'm pretty sure this is them.
Then it's confirmed. They must have left by the North Road to Thornwood. Well, I'm not a man to do anything for free, and I have my duties in town. I thought we could bring this information to Lord Twin Tower and see if he would fund an expedition in their pursuit.
My thoughts exactly. I'm in this to try to find that potion maker, and those 2, I don't really care much about the Lady Twin Tower, but if the Lord wants to pay me handsomely to find them, well, perhaps that can be arranged too.
I think that would make the best out of both situations.
Have you found anything out about this potion maker during your talks?
I'm afraid not. Nobody seems to know the name Venlin. My Rohana had never heard of him. It seems he's a ghost.
This is unfortunate.
Did anyone leave via boat yesterday?
Well, I tried to talk with that dock keep, but he wouldn't give me much useful information. He said everybody comes and goes all day.
Well, that doesn't help us. But you said 2 people left on the road, correct?
Yes, my confidant said 2 people left on the road at sunset, packed to the nines with their gear. I think it's a pretty good assumption it's R2.
So assuming that that's Adriana and Jackart, then Venlin is either still
I
here.
have to assume is still in town, or perhaps left via other means.
Time is of the essence to track them, but it would be useful to find Venlin before we left.
About now, you guys arrive at the Lord's house, Lord and Lady's house, the manor.
I turn to Croak and say, Croak, with all due respect, perhaps you should wait here.
Oh, but I couldn't turn down the opportunity to meet the fine lord of this establishment.
The butler
look at,
turns back and says,
yeah.
Mr. Malachi, didn't you say something about gathering friends, companions for the road?
Indeed.
Croak, perhaps you could go gather these companions while Mr. Malachi speaks to Lord Twin Towers.
I look longingly at like the front gate of their home and just be like, well, as you say, we do need to get them together. And I make my way, I guess, towards where I last met the sheriff.
Okay, so you meet back up with the others at the sheriff's place.
Yeah, we stopped by that one guy that they got the information from, and I wanted to ask him to come with us to the sheriff's house very quickly.
But my meat pie stand, how am I supposed to make a living if I'm talking with the sheriff?
I'm sure the law can compensate you for your services. This is a very important matter.
Well, if you say so.
I hope so, friend. Let's go.
All right. So, 3 of the 4 of you are at the sheriff's office with
Yes.
the meat pie vendor.
Yeah.
We are all over the place today.
Going in circles.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're all there
CSI
now.
Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, so I figure there's a little bit more credibility to like a cleric or a merchant making these accusations than like, a servant and a commoner.
Absolutely.
So I kind of go up to the sheriff and I say, as I understand it, you have been informed of a conspiracy to poison Lady Twin Tower.
Yes, conspiracy has been hypothesized.
I can confirm the
seen-
existence.
Of no
Continue.
evidence.
I can confirm the existence of a conspiracy. What I can also tell you is that our 2 suspects, a servant of the Lord's Manor, and Jack Art, the dock worker that you were informed about, are married together, and they both skipped town this morning. If you go to their house, you'll see that it was quickly packed up and evacuated.
Well, that is something.
I was wondering if you had any men to spare to send north on a pursuit. We know what direction they went. I can't leave town for any extensive period of time. I have duties and obligations here. But if you have any men to spare,
Well,
that you
my
can send on
men
horseback,
have duties and obligations.
I understand that. And if I had, imagine if my priests had any experience in tracking, I would not hesitate to send a few of them in this matter. But alas, they do not. That is why I
Muses
come to you for your
himself.
assistance.
Well, I definitely cannot spare any men. I don't know how close you keep your ear to the ground, but the bullywugs have been encroaching closer and closer every day, it seems. And we need our men on
Frogman.
hand in case, God forbid, something were to happen again.
Can you spare horses? Temporarily, they would be returned.
How many horses are you looking to get?
I would like to send, likely not myself. I don't know if I can leave the temple for so long. But I would like to send 2 or 3 people north to capture and return Adriana and Jack Art to town for further questioning.
He looks at the 2 people you have with you and says,
I have slightly more
well,
reputable figures in mind.
I could loan you 2 horses, but only if I loan them to you and you stay within their company. I don't
If
trust...
I found somebody else you trusted to loan them to, could you loan them to him instead?
Maybe. But
I want to
see
clap
you,
my hand
an
on Van
upstanding
Helsing's
citizen-
back and be like, surely your friend Frederick can handle himself for more than a few hours at a time.
Frederick is young and has much
And
to learn.
the men and women at the church will be praying on their own mostly.
Let the boy spread his wings. He can deal with those things.
I would love to, but he doesn't have the confidence yet. I'm comfortable giving him a few hours to himself, and I will do my best to lecture him on Let's call it
Well,
social engineering.
Surely
Well,
those
why don't
few
you talk
hours
to the
by
high-
himself could be the rest of today, and then you can come with us with these horses, and we'll track down Jackhart and come back in the morn, and you'll be ready to go for your daily sermons.
Perhaps. Sir, would you be willing to loan those horses to a merchant in town?
Maybe. Depends on the merchant.
I will. Hopefully he arrives soon. Croak, do you know where he is? Can you retrieve him?
He is the Lady Twin Towers, and I would be happy to retrieve him from their estates. Just one moment, if you will. And I waddle my way back to the Twin Towers.
All right, you're getting some good exercise today, Croak.
I am. I've lost like 5 pounds.
I sent
It's
you
all
for
a
a reason.
plot. Yeah.
Sent you for a reason.
All right, Malachi, you're back
Right.
at Lord Twin Towers' establishment. He
Okay.
comes
I pour
downstairs.
myself another drink.
All right, he meets you back down in the parlor and says, "My butler tells me the servant in mind has left town."
Indeed, Lord Twin Tower, along with this Dockhand Jackhart that we believe gathered some of the ingredients to create the potion. What?
Sorry, just one quick question. Would it be reasonable to assume that they're a minor noble house, right?
They're mid-level mobile, yeah.
Okay, would it be reasonable to assume that they would have like some level of house guard, like they'd have some sort of soldiers? Like maybe not like military grade soldiers, but they'd probably have like some level of they'd have like armed individuals, right? Like armed people who serve as guards.
Would they?
Maybe they have some deputies from Tyrus that are like on permanent loan.
Because if so, I would have asked Croak to see if he can secure us at least one of them as well. Because hirelings are always useful.
I feel like we're not going to get any hirelings. Something tells me.
They wouldn't have them on hand at their house, but they own land, and from that land they can call up people to act as soldiers if they need to be. But they wouldn't be special soldiers in any way. They'd just kind of be local townsfolk that have put in uniform and given spears.
And would they have like any sort of combat training? Like, would it be reasonable that they would not be felled by like some random guy with a knife?
I mean,
naked
they'd be
guy with a knife?
0th level fighters with D8 hit points.
Okay.
D6 hit points, I'm sorry. Humans have D6 HP.
I think I would still ask Croak if he can see if he can secure us like 1 or 2 0th level fighters from the noble household.
Those sorts of people would probably take a couple of days to round
Never
up.
mind.
'Cause they'd be like in the villages outside of town, and then you
Okay.
let them know ahead of time, and then they get their gear and they come. Things move slowly.
Okay,
day
never
and
mind
age.
then.
Yeah.
So I say, Lord Twin Tower, given my involvement in this investigation, and given the sheriff's desire to keep his men in town, I would suggest that perhaps I could see if I could retrieve these 2 criminals for you. However, an expedition out of town is not cheap for me. I have a shop to look after, and the road is dangerous.
Yes.
You understand?
Of course. If you can successfully bring these villains to justice, I will make sure you are handsomely rewarded. But that is only if you can bring the actual culprits to justice.
Do you speak of Adriana and her husband?
If they are the ones who have done it, and you bring them before me, then yes.
I believe there is a third involved who may still be in town, a man by the name of Venlin.
Yeah.
I'm at a crossroads as to whether to search for him now or head off on the road after Adriana. Maybe you could search in my stead.
I will have my men ask around town. We will.
Then
Yes.
so be it. Do you perhaps have any horses you could spare?
I could spare you a horse.
This would help. I might set if I set off soon. I could catch them. How far is it on the road to? How far is the road to Thornwood?
50 miles.
So it'd probably take multiple days for people.
It's
Right.
a 2-day trip
So
on foot if you're not encumbered.
Okay.
So I have a chance to catch them. Very well, Lord Twin Tower. It's been nice speaking with you today. I'm sorry it's under such awkward circumstances.
Right. You're a decent fellow.
Indeed, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I shall be off.
So on your way, as you exit the building, you see Croak, eyes all big and wide, coming up to the front door as you open it and step out into the street.
Ah, Croak, you've returned again.
I have Van didn't want to. Well, he wanted me to fetch you because he's trying to get horses from the sheriff. Guys, disappointing you're already on your way out. You sure we can't talk with them some more?
I look back. No, I think the time for talking has passed. Now is the time for action.
Damn these short legs of mine. All right, well, come. We might get some horses from Mr. Bellow, so we can more quickly track down these two folks. If you'll come with me. What did the Lord say about payment?
Well, that's one thing. He actually promised me a horse himself, so I shall go and... Is that here, or will that be, like, at a stable somewhere now?
One of the servants is bringing around the horse right now while you guys are talking.
Yeah, so I say... he's bringing me a horse for myself now, so let's wait here. He said that if we could bring Adriana and Jackart back to him, we would be handsomely rewarded. Given the man's status, I didn't think to question an exact amount. I feel that would probably only hinder us.
Well, that is a bit unfortunate, but a quick ride out into the night to bring back some little common folk on the back of a horse, this seems like worthy of some payment to me. I'll go ahead and come along. You got horses for the rest of us here?
I have a horse for myself. How many horses does the sheriff have?
Plenty, I'm sure. 2 or 3, I believe, was the number that we were talking about.
I think he said
I'm
2.
sure we can put the little gnome on one of them, so he doesn't probably need his own.
He does seem quite fond of you. Perhaps he could share with yourself.
Okay. So the party reconvenes at the sheriff's office. Malachi has a horse in hand.
Okay.
And why don't we take our third and final break before we jump into exiting town, where bandits live and
The
monsters
Displacer
live.
Beast Forest.
Yes, yes.
I'm amazed.
Conveniently named.
I'm amazed nobody's died to a displacer beast at this point.
Yeah.
We've
Or
split the
falling
party far too
downstairs,
many
for that matter.
times.
Well, that's only because Croak didn't get, or Corny didn't get to find the trapdoor under the bed. That's where the Displacer lives. All right, we'll see you all in a few minutes. Take care.
Right.